Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Focus show brought to you by Factory Now TV. I'm your host, Christopher Greeno, and in this series we focus on SMEs within the British manufacturing sector and indeed those supporting the sector. Every week we discuss and analyse the challenges and opportunities facing the sector in these unprecedented times. I've worked in the sector for over 27 years and I'm CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. So hopefully you can appreciate this show is very much for manufacturers and indeed by manufacturers. Joining me this week, I've got great pleasure to introduce Thomas Flude, who is co-founder of Engineers Insight. Thomas, hello and welcome.
Hi Chris, you okay?
Yes, great to speak to you. So tell me about Engineers Insight and what actually you do.
Okay, I suppose the backstory is I've worked for a few of the big automation brands. Started at Schneider, worked for Yaskawa, worked for Cognex, had a brief stint at a distributor called BPX. So been in and around industrial automation for a while. And I suppose 2018, 2019, just started getting frustrated with lack of options to launch product. And it was getting to a point where we'd only buy like a front page of a magazine, and it would cost a lot of money, as you can imagine. Looked around at digital options, and there really wasn't much out there. So got together with an old school friend who became a software developer. Started pitching this idea to him, and slowly over the past few years, weekends and evenings, been putting together the bones of this platform, I suppose. So Engineers Insight, what we aim for it to be is this central agnostic middle ground for the industry. So we can give manufacturers like Siemens, SMC, Festo, all of these big names that you're used to, a space to launch their products, with reliable analytics, being digital over print. And then the other side of the market, the engineers. So we started with this small little marketing tool that we came up with. We went out to the engineers to speak to them about what their pain points were. And a lot of them said, especially, maintenance engineers, controls engineers, they've got multiple brands on a machine or a line. Well, as soon as you print a manual or a brochure, it's obsolete. So it was about, well, how do we fix that pain point? So the products that manufacturers put in right now, in its current form, users can bookmark, say for later, they go to the desktop, view the manual there, and then we'll take baby steps into what will become a live directory for your machine. So the next step will be you can categorize your bookmarks to product or brand, whatever you want, and then it will be around, this machine is called XYZ, these are the products in it. That means you've got a live directory of documents, manuals, drawings, but then actually it gives the manufacturers an opportunity to pass messaging directly to that user. So if you've got a product on a machine, the machine could be anywhere in the world, and Siemens say that product's going obsolete in 3 months' time, we can pass that messaging directly to that machine, tell the user that this is going obsolete, this is the replacement, and this is the upgrade path manual. So things like that are tricky things to do at the minute.
And why is it key for engineers to have a platform such as this, or have you designed a platform that you think engineers will need? Is it chicken and egg, or?
It started off because I was working for a manufacturer that we designed originally some wireframes around a fix for the manufacturers, and then actually, the truth of it is it's for the engineer. It just so happens it gives the manufacturers a space to put their products in front of people. But there's 2.7 million people in UK manufacturing. There's a huge pool of users that have this pain point. And I know, speaking to the manufacturers, and they'll admit that their websites are poor sometimes, or their document centers are so big you'll never find what you're looking for. So it's definitely being built around now the engineers need. And we're constantly developing. That's the beauty of being a startup. We're flexible. Every bit of feedback's great, but we also get more features than we can build sometimes.
Yes. Now, engineering is not seen as a go-to career for many. How did you get into the sector?
So I've always been around engineering. So my grandparents owned a machine tool fitting company that my dad and uncle ended up working for. So I grew up around that. And then they always told me to stay away from mechanical because there's no money in it. Try and learn electrical. And then it just so happened one day, my godfather was an application engineer at Schneider, and they'd just started doing apprenticeships. So he asked me to go along. I did an interview, got the apprenticeship, and then I became a drives application engineer. Okay. So partly luck, partly coerced down that lane. But yeah, it was a good decision.
Absolutely. And you've created a weekly newsletter sharing the story of the startup. So the highlights for that, I won't say the low lights. What are the highlights? Let's start with that. Let's focus on the positives.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to also highlight the negatives. I think entrepreneurship also, the wider spectrum, people perceive it as this amazing thing that, you're earning millions of pounds, and that's not the case. It's hard work, but it's enjoyable. We've got the freedom of doing our own thing and working with some huge brands that you can only dream of. The newsletter was built, I think I only started it a week ago, and already that's at like nearly 1,900 subscribers, and we haven't said anything yet, which is fantastic. Hopefully that grows. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight or maybe just show people the inside workings of a startup, especially in our field, because there's not many that you see publicly in our field. It's always finance or something sexy in London, not dirty manufacturing.
So what is the plan with the newsletter then? Is it just about the startup and the journey? Is it about the platform and how it's going to change?
Yeah, so a bit of both. So we want to show the honesty of what we're going through. We want to talk about the features we're building, the feedback we've got from engineers, the manufacturers we're partnering with, or the meetings that I've had that week, and then case studies. So same as products, manufacturers trying to get product out there, there's also an abundance of case studies from all of the brands. So it's just we pick a different topic every week, put 5 case studies together and put them into that newsletter as well. So hopefully, we give some value in seeing behind the scenes, seeing what we're building, but then also real applications that might be useful for a manufacturer out there.
Absolutely. And obviously you've had a busy time setting this up. What does the rest of the year hold for you and the team? I say you and the team.
Scale is a word that we're using constantly at the minute. We just completed a beta test. So we had 250 engineers, which was more than we planned, but it was great. That really tested the app, clicked absolutely everything possible, tried to break it. Luckily didn't break, which was great. But now it's about, well, how do we reach 2,000 and then 5,000, 10,000, and then how do we reach 1 million? And then once we're there, how do we expand into another country? So we've definitely got our feet firmly planted on the floor. We're not thinking that we're going to be overnight successes. But yeah, it's now how do we grow? And it's leaning on our partnerships with the big brands to say, you've got the credibility, let's do it with you, as opposed to me just knocking on doors and begging someone to sign up each time.
And so, Tom, your 5-year plan, where do you want to be in 5 years' time with this platform?
In 5 years' time, we want to be the go-to platform for engineers. We want to build this platform with obviously engineers at the front of our mind, but there's so many different avenues we can go down. This whole building your machine as part of the platform can grow its own legs. There's also an opportunity for video content. I know MTD are very good at that. But we can build a platform that manufacturers and integrators and everyone can, a bit like a social media feed of just video. There's a space for that in the market as well that we've got an eye on. And I suppose just to be present everywhere, there's an opportunity here for us to scale quite easily into other countries. We've partnered nicely with Advanced Engineering. They're an exhibition, the NEC, every November. So they're part of Easy Fairs, who have exhibitions all around the world, and that's part of our strategic partnership. Is that we work together to build the platform, build the show, and then we roll out multiple countries. So the plan in 5 years is that if you were to ask someone in Asia or in US or mainland Europe, what platform do you use to find your manuals or new innovations, that they say Engineers Insight.
Fantastic. Tom, great to hear the work you're doing. Come back in 5 years' time, or we can do the show from Asia by then, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Great to speak to you today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting more of our great SME manufacturers, and indeed those like Tom helping the manufacturers in the UK. If you'd like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mdd.media. That's it from me. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.